Good morning, and welcome to World in 15, your trusted source for comprehensive coverage of today's most pressing events, delivered with accuracy, integrity, and insight.
After over 5 weeks of proceedings, numerous testimonies, and extensive documentation, a New York jury has been tasked with a historic decision, determining whether Donald Trump is guilty or not guilty of a crime. On Wednesday, following closing arguments from both sides, Justice Juan Merchan provided the jury with over an hour of detailed deliberation instructions, outlining each charge and explaining the elements of the alleged crime. We have Shelby reporting on this.
Justice Merchan emphasized to the 12-person jury the high standard that prosecutors must meet to secure a conviction, guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. He clarified, it is not sufficient to prove that the defendant is probably guilty. In a criminal case, the proof of guilt must be stronger than that. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records related to a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels, who claimed to have had a sexual encounter with Trump, which he denies. During the morning session, Justice Merchan provided guidelines to the jurors, advising them to make their decisions based on evidence, not biases or the criminal convictions of other witnesses. He detailed the prosecution's complex felony case against Trump, which alleges he falsified a reimbursement to his fixer for the hush money payment with the intent to conceal other crimes, including violations of state and federal election laws and tax laws. The judge explained that prosecutors do not need to prove these secondary crimes, nor do jurors need to unanimously agree on which specific secondary crime Trump may have committed. However, they must reach a unanimous verdict on each of the 34 counts. The defense has consistently denied any wrongdoing and has aimed to undermine the credibility of the prosecution's key witness, Michael Cohen, Trump's former fixer and a convicted felon, in an effort to discredit the overall case. By Wednesday afternoon, jurors had not reached a verdict and left the Manhattan courthouse. However, they returned to the courtroom in the afternoon to request specific testimony to assist in their deliberations. When they reconvene on Thursday morning, they will review the requested testimony and continue their deliberations, determining whether Trump will become the first former president to be convicted of a felony. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
U.S. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito has dismissed calls to withdraw from critical election year cases following a dispute over flags displayed outside his residences. We have Anthony reporting on this.
In response to Democratic senators' concerns, Justice Alito, a conservative, clarified in a letter that the flags in question were flown by his wife. An upside-down U.S. flag and an appeal to heaven flag, associated with the Capitol riot of January 6, 2021, were observed outside his homes in suburban Virginia and New Jersey, respectively. Justice Alito affirmed that the flags did not impact his impartiality in cases involving Donald Trump and Capitol rioters. He explained, "My wife is fond of flying flags. I am not." The upside-down flag, symbolizing distress, was reportedly raised by his wife after a neighborhood dispute following the Capitol riot. Alito stated he had no involvement and was unaware of it until later. The New York Times reported a detailed account of the neighborhood conflict, involving signs criticizing Trump displayed by a local couple, leading to confrontations with the Alitos. Although police were contacted, no arrests were made. Regarding the appeal to heaven flag, flown outside the Alito holiday home in 2023, Justice Alito clarified it was among many historical and themed flags his wife displayed. The flag, originating from the American Revolutionary War, has been repurposed in recent years to represent Christian nationalism. Despite the flag's controversy, Justice Alito emphasized his commitment to impartiality and refused to recuse himself from Trump-related cases. The U.S. Flag Code dictates that the American flag should only be turned upside down in instances of extreme danger to life or property. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
The U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, has announced the dismantling of a global malware network responsible for stealing $5.9 billion and linked to various other crimes. In collaboration with the FBI and international agencies, the DOJ took down what they believe to be likely the world's largest botnet ever. We have Jensen reporting on this.
Yanhee Wang, a Chinese national and citizen of Kitts and Nevis, has been charged with creating and operating the network. The charges against Wang include conspiracy to commit computer fraud, substantive computer fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering, carrying a maximum penalty of 65 years in prison if convicted on all counts. According to the indictment, Wang and his associates operated the botnet, named 911S5, from approximately 150 servers worldwide between 2014 and 2022. The botnet infiltrated over 19 million Internet Protocol (IP) addresses across nearly 200 countries. The botnet was utilized for a range of illicit activities, including cyber attacks, large-scale fraud, child exploitation, harassment, bomb threats, and export violations. It facilitated over 500,000 fraudulent unemployment insurance claims, resulting in the loss of $5.9 billion. Additionally, the network enabled cybercriminals to make purchases with stolen credit cards and launder money. Wang allegedly profited approximately $99 million by selling access to the compromised IP addresses. He used the proceeds to acquire property in the U.S., Kitts and Nevis, China, Singapore, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates. Law enforcement agencies and technology giant Microsoft assisted in the investigation, resulting in the seizure or identification of assets totaling around $60 million, including luxury vehicles and watches. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
In Milan, a scene reminiscent of a bygone era unfolds as 1,000 individuals, clad in black and some bearing tattoos on shaven heads, gather in military-like formation, in a solemn ceremony near the site where Sergio Romelli, a far-right student, was slain almost half a century ago. A leader rallies his devoted followers. With a cry of Camerata and Romelli's name, they salute with stiff right arms raised, a chilling echo of the past, witnessed in present-day Italy. We have Alana reporting on this.
This ritual, though startling to outsiders, is not uncommon in Italy, where such commemorations occur annually. While the current government, led by the Brothers of Italy Party, claims to have distanced itself from its fascist roots, concerns persist regarding the normalization of extreme ideologies. Fascism did not die in 1945, asserts Paolo Baresi of Italian daily La Repubblica, who lives under constant police protection due to threats from extremist groups. He argues that Italy has yet to fully confront its past. It's been over a century since Benito Mussolini, the country's fascist dictator, rose to power, bringing with him a regime marked by repression, concentration camps, and anti-Semitic laws. Despite Mussolini's fall from power and subsequent prohibition of his party, fascist ideology endured in various forms. Neo-fascist politicians were initially marginalized but gained legitimacy when Silvio Berlusconi welcomed them into his coalition in 1994. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, whose political origins lie in the fascist Movimento Social Italiano, has attempted to distance herself from far-right rhetoric since assuming office. However, her critics argue that she still maintains connections to her political roots. Forza Nuova, a fringe far-right party advocating extreme positions such as halting immigration and leaving NATO, remains a disruptive force in Italian politics. Its members' admiration for Vladimir Putin and displays of Nazi symbols underscore ongoing concerns about the resurgence of fascist sentiment. Roberto Fior, founder of Forza Nuova, openly acknowledges his fascist inclinations, but frames them as revolutionary rather than criminal. He dismisses critiques of Mussolini's regime and expresses support for Russia's annexation of Ukraine, highlighting the party's radical stance. Despite efforts to distance herself from extremist elements, Prime Minister Meloni's perceived ties to her fascist past fuel skepticism about her commitment to combating far-right extremism. As Italy grapples with the legacy of fascism, the specter of extremist ideologies continues to haunt its political landscape. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Rapper Kingston has agreed to be extradited to Florida to face allegations of committing more than $1 million in fraud and theft alongside his mother. Kingston signed paperwork waiving his right to challenge the extradition in a California court, as confirmed by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. We have Jordan reporting on this.
The arrests occurred on May 23 in Fort Irwin, Southern California, coinciding with a police raid on Kingston's Fort Lauderdale home, where his mother, Janice Turner, was apprehended. While it remains unclear when Kingston will return to Florida, the Broward County Sheriff's Office has accused him and his mother of defrauding several businesses, allegedly involving theft of jewelry, money, a luxury car, and more. Kingston, 34, born Kizine Anderson in Jamaica and known for hits like Beautiful Girls and Fire Burning, reportedly remains in custody in Southern California. California sheriff's officials intend to coordinate with their counterparts in Broward County for his extradition. Additionally, Kingston faces a separate lawsuit from a company alleging breach of contract and fraud. The company claims Kingston failed to fully pay for a TV and sound system, alleging he made false promises, including producing promotional videos with Justin Bieber. Representatives for Kingston have not yet provided comment. However, prior to his arrest, Kingston reassured his followers on Instagram, stating that he and his mother are doing well, with legal matters being handled by their lawyers. A lawyer representing the pair expressed confidence in a successful resolution of the allegations in court. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
Chinese travelers are increasingly favoring domestic destinations over international ones, with only 14% of high-income households that traveled abroad last year planning to do so again in 2024, according to a survey by consulting firm Oliver Wyman. The primary reasons cited were the abundant travel options within China and the high cost of international travel. We have Ava reporting on this.
Traveling within mainland China is significantly cheaper, with the average cost per person being less than 1,000 yuan, compared to several thousand yuan for trips to destinations like Hong Kong or Japan. This trend towards domestic tourism has been a key driver of China's post-COVID-19 recovery, with bookings for rural destinations within China seeing a substantial increase compared to pre-pandemic levels. During the recent May holiday, domestic tourism trips and revenues surged compared to pre-pandemic levels in 2019, while international trips remained slightly below 2019 levels. Smaller cities like Yangzhou, Luoyang, Qinhuangdao, Vilan, and Zibo experienced the fastest growth in tourism bookings during this period. Ashley Duderanok, founder of China digital consultancy Chosen, anticipates that domestic tourism in China will continue to surpass pre-pandemic levels this year. However, the recovery of international travel from China may take longer due to concerns about safety and instability in other parts of the world. In contrast, a record number of people in the U.S. have applied for passports in the last 2 years, with a significant portion planning to take international trips in 2024. U.S. and Chinese officials recently held a summit in Xi'an City to promote tourism between the two countries. While the surge in domestic tourism has had a significant near-term impact on local economies in China, it remains uncertain whether this interest in less developed parts of the country will be sustainable in the long run. Nevertheless, regions like the Guangxi Autonomous Region have implemented plans to boost tourism consumption, resulting in substantial increases in tourism revenue and economic activity. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Robinhood stock rose 4.5% in after-hours trading following the announcement of a $1 billion share repurchase program, which the company plans to execute over a 2 to 3 year period starting in the third quarter of 2024. We have Patrick reporting on this.
Kava Group saw a 5% drop in its stock price after hours, despite posting first-quarter earnings and revenue that exceeded expectations. The company reported earnings of 12 cents per share on revenue of $259 million, surpassing analysts' estimates of 4 cents per share on $246 million in revenue. Box, the cloud storage company, gained 1.2% after hours on the back of better-than-expected earnings and revenue. Box reported adjusted earnings of 39 cents per share, beating analysts' expectations of 36 cents per share, with revenue reaching $264.7 million, surpassing expectations of $262 million. Microchip Technologies shares dipped 2.8% after the company announced plans to raise $1.1 billion worth of convertible senior notes due 2030 in a private offering, subject to market conditions and other factors. American Airlines experienced a more than 6% decline in its stock price after slashing its outlook for sales in the second quarter. The company also adjusted its expected earnings to $1 to $1.15 per share, down from previous guidance of $1.15 to $1.45 per share, below FactSet's consensus expectations of $1.30 per share. United Airlines shares dropped 2% after the airline reaffirmed its second quarter earnings outlook range of $3.75 to $4.25 per share, according to a regulatory filing. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update. Thanks for tuning in to World in 15 for your daily dose of news and updates. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on breaking stories and insightful analysis.